Tonight, on Closer Look, Code Blue. New data shows that millions of Ontarians are without family doctors, with many more potentially on the way. Reporter at the Trillium, our Queen's Park Bureau, Jack Howen, joins us to talk about the healthcare crisis that is plaguing the province. Jack joins us tonight from Toronto. Jack, let's start with the research group investigating and analyzing primary care in Ontario. It's been a huge job. Maybe break the process down for us. How do they analyze the data? And specifically, what are the researchers looking for?
Yeah, so I spoke to a researcher from Inspire PHC. They're a group of academics that have been around for years, and they look at OHIP billing data, and they use that data to break down at a postal code level across the province who is getting primary care and who isn't. And their results, as they have been for the past few years, have been pretty concerning.
All right, let's talk about that, Jack. We know the results were alarming. Broadly speaking, what did they show?
So the headline number is, as of last year at least, that's the most recent data, that 2.5 million Ontarians are without regular primary care. So that just means that they either don't have a family doctor or they're not getting care at a walk-in clinic or a community health center or anything like that. It doesn't just include the people without family doctors. That would be an even bigger number.
So perception, Jack, may lead us to believe that this might be a northern problem, but in fact, that's not the case. Geography, in fact, seems to have very little to do with this crisis.
Yeah, so we took this data from this group and plotted it onto a map. And when you look at it, the north is redder, as it looks worse on the map. But this researcher that I spoke to, he cautioned against reading too much into that because there are data issues in the north. It's harder to collect information up there. And I mean, we know that there are some issues that are worse in the north. It's harder to attract doctors. There are bigger gaps between communities. People often have to drive or fly to get the care that they need. But his main takeaway, Eliot Frymire, the researcher that I spoke to, he stressed that there's a crisis everywhere. It's not just in one place.
And one of the interesting stats that came out of the research, Jack, is that although the number of family doctors is down by about one or so for every 10,000 patients, the number of ER doctors is on the rise. Why is it that future doctors just aren't choosing family medicine the way they once did?
I mean, there are many reasons, but a big one is that it's a tough job. And, when you're someone in medical school and you're going through the training and you're looking at what you can be in the future and you're thinking about having a life outside of your job, there are a lot more attractive jobs out there. Doing a specialty will ensure that you're not constantly on beck and call, especially as I mentioned in rural and northern communities. You're kind of everything to everyone and on call all the time. A family doctor I spoke to said, you're running into people in the grocery store and making chit chat about their x-rays and stuff. So it's really a lifestyle. And it's something that politicians are trying to cut down on, the amount of administrative work that they have to do and the toughness that their job entails. But also, as you mentioned, ER doctors are on the rise. Addiction doctors are on the rise because that's where, unfortunately, the health system needs a lot of help. And we're seeing it respond to that.
And another issue facing the system is the number of family doctors nearing retirement. How big is the number, and what's being done to mitigate the effect that it'll have on patients who will lose their doctor or be derostered? Yeah,
so the Liberals, the Ontario Liberals, also had access to this data and put some of it forward. And this is one thing that the researcher said he stressed to me, was that it can tell different stories depending on what you pull out of it. So what the Liberals would like to take away from it is that there are 3 million Ontarians whose family doctors are at risk of retirement. What they did is they looked at the number of family doctors that are 60 and above. Of course, if anyone knows a family doctor, you'll know that they tend to retire later. They tend to love what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. So if you look at 65 and above, which is closer to the average retirement age of about 70, it's only, in quotes, about 1.7 million Ontarians who have aging family doctors or family doctors that are getting up there, which is still obviously a huge concern, especially since, as we talked about just a couple minutes ago, a lot of students aren't choosing it. So it's hard to find replacements.
Yeah, it's still a big number. Okay, the Premier, along with Health Minister Sylvia Jones, have tapped former Health Minister Jane Philpott with finding a solution to this problem and ensuring that every person in Ontario will have access to primary care within the next 5 years. How is she going to do it?
So the health minister has guaranteed that if you need a family doctor, you're going to have one. If you need to see a nutritionist, you're going to be able to see one. And the way that she plans to do that through Jane Philpott is to expand family health teams across the province. So that's kind of the gold standard of care, where you're rostered to this group, not only just one family doctor who might refer you to other specialists, but they're on staff. So it's all in one area, and everything that you might need is seamless and right there. So we'll see if that actually happens. It would be it is a major undertaking, and it's a big goal. So we'll see.
You mentioned the Liberal Party, Jack. Quickly, what are the opposition leaders, Bonnie Crombie and Merritt Stiles, saying about all of this? Surely they've weighed in.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the Liberals have raised concerns about the data. Largely, both parties' message is the same, which is that the Ford government has had 6 years to act on this and hasn't gotten it done. The Ford government has pointed out that 2 new medical schools are opening. There are a ton of new spots. It's boosted funding for primary care, but the opposition parties, of course, would point to the millions of people still without a family doctor, and that the confidence of family doctors is not exactly sterling right now in the future of their profession.
Reporter Jack Cowan from the Trillium, part of our team covering Queen's Park, on the healthcare crisis facing Ontarians on tonight's Closer Look.